Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we have playoff props for you guys on a Friday to end this work week. 5-game slate to choose from, but I think we've got some pretty good stuff in here. Plenty of options in some of these games for you guys. Want to make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Got a couple other game videos up for you as well. And head to thelines.com. That's where you can go ahead and get all the great stuff we're talking about here in written form and more. And use our odds finder tool on there. Make sure you're getting the best odds available on all the bets you might make on these NBA player props this season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into your first prop for tonight.
It's the rookie of the year, front runner by a mile. Welcome to Miami, though, for your first meeting with the Heat, and they are on a heater, especially on the defensive end, though. 108 defensive rating for Miami in their last 10, including 104 at home. That is best in the league, and they're playing at a snail's pace, per usual, and giving up just 106 points per game in that span. So for Paolo, Banchero, 19.5 points scares me a little bit. I mean, he's usually right around that. I think if you make it 27.5 points, rebounds, assists, I don't think he's going to be getting many assists. I would look for the turnovers prop, which I didn't see up yet, but I just think Miami's going to give him a lot of problems. I mean, he's not rebounding as much because he's playing a lot of the three. In his last 8, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 18 points per game. He's a minus 26. There's just not much efficiency. He's at a 106 offensive rating since mid-December. And his usage rate's down from about 29% on the season to 24.5% because of that lack of efficiency. Orlando's been playing low-scoring games. Miami could completely shut them down. I think there's a lot of guys to look at for the under here, but I think Paolo has some of the more lofty props because of his ability, but I just think this is a really tough matchup for him.
Yeah, I agree. It took you a while to say Paolo. I think you assume everyone knows who you mean by rookie of the year, but yeah, he should. If you're watching this video, hopefully you know Paolo's rookie of the year this year. I hate taking an under on him. He is my guy, but I was looking at unders for somebody in this game for Orlando. As you said, welcome to Miami and that defense and snail's pace that they've been playing at. So that he's got the highest stuff going on out there for this team. And so I think it's fair. The 19.5 points kind of scares me. I think he's been a 20 getter pretty consistently, but he's got a couple of those in recent matchups too, since he came back from injury. So I think this will be a good welcome to this type of team defense that they're going to see from the Heat. Next one up for us, Nate, is Ant-Man. Ant Edwards continues to play super well, to be honest with you, without Cat in there, and a lot of times without Rudy. 3.5 threes over that for him gets you plus 140 on DK. Liked those juicy odds there. And then the 27.5 points for him is about what he's been getting in his last 10, about 27.8 points per game, 5 boards, and about 4.8 assists. His usage is what you love at 33%. Probably a big reason that everything's open for him without Cat. Definitely wasn't open with Cat and Rudy in there, which has been super helpful for him in those last 10. 3.5 made threes in that time at 39.5%. And in his last 3, he's been making about 8. He's made 18 on 36 attempts, good for 50% from deep. 23 plus points at least in his last in 8 of his last 9 games versus Memphis, which I think we're both scared to pick Memphis tonight because we do think that one can be close the way Memphis has been playing on the road and giving up a lot of points. Averaging about 3.5 again, threes made at 53.7% against that Memphis team, and about 26 points per game there. So his home road stuff, which is really good for him. At 30% usage versus 28 when he's on the road, 5 assists per game versus the 3.9 on the road as well, and then 33% from 3 versus 40%, but about the same amount of makes because he's pulling so many threes at home as well. And his last 5 at home specifically, 30 points a game. That's why you got that prop all the way up at 27.5 at about 4 made threes on 40%. So dude's balling out for sure, and Memphis I think is coming off a pretty big loss there to the Dubs at that. They really tried to bring it down the stretch, had taken a lot out of them. So I think we're going to be able to see Ant-Man get his against that tired Memphis team.
Yeah, Memphis has been awful guarding the three-point line this whole road trip. To see Ant at plus 140 to hit 4 threes is definitely eyebrow raising. I would expect that to have been more like minus 130 the way he's been pulling lately, and especially when he comes in hitting 18 threes in his last three at 50%. This is a team he loves to face and loves to shoot a lot. And the usage is just incredibly high because there's still no cat for the Wolves.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to close out with a bunch of picks from this Raptors-Warriors game because we do like points. We can agree on that. 229.5 is a little bit of a low total. OG Anunoby should be playing here. And I'm kind of shocked at how low his peripheral stats are. I mean, he isn't putting up a ton of numbers out there, but 6.5 rebounds, assists. That's like PJ Tucker territory or something. Like, I mean, he's a little bit more of a versatile playmaker than like stand in the corner PJ. I mean, per 36 this year, he averages 5.5 rebounds, 2 assists, also 2 steals. And I'm waiting to see what the steals prop might be here against the Warriors, who are, again, 8th highest turnover rate in the last 2 weeks here. Also giving up the 10th most boards because they're playing at the 3rd fastest pace in the last 10 at home here. So, I mean, OG's going to have to be playing a lot to be a defensive option here. You talked about the importance of him and Gary Trent in this matchup, and he's played at least 32 minutes per game in his last 4 against the Warriors. And again, the peripherals just haven't been there, but I think that will come around. I don't think Toronto's been as much of a freewheeling offense in years past as we've seen here. So I think he'll get probably around 5 rebounds and a couple assists here to get you over this.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel a little bit better about the 2 that I have for this game. Speaking of assists and rebounds, Day, Draymond Green, 15.5 for him. It's minus 105 on DraftKings. I feel like those odds are just really, really good for him to get 16. In his last 4 versus Toronto, 13 boards, 9 assists in 36 minutes per game. And then his last 6 at home, 10 boards, 7 assists per game in about 34 minutes there. And Toronto is allowing the 5th most rebounds per game and 3rd most assists to power forwards this season. Like, it's always been a good matchup for him. You know, he's got to be on the floor to match up with Pascal, who's also averaging like 36.5 minutes a game this season in general. So he's got to be out there. Klay is one you pointed out to me as well, and I'm also just going to snag and tell people because 21.5 points for a man who's been averaging 29 his last 11 games at home with a 30% usage. Steph's been in a ton of those games. Like, he's missed I think 4 of those home games that I just referenced. So like we talked about Klay the other night as well in terms of against Memphis. Like, you can take both of them. Klay's numbers have not diminished since Steph came back. Nobody can diminish Klay's numbers because his usage and his shooting will always be that high if he's on the floor, and they want him to do that. 5 made threes on 12 attempts in his last 11 at home. So the 3.5 made threes on DK is at minus 135. Maybe you want to take an alternate there and get it to some pretty nice plus odds around plus 110 or so for him to make the 5 on that one. That starts to get a little bit scary because he's not Steph Curry, and almost anybody not named Steph Curry is scary to take an over 4.5 made threes kind of prop. But for Klay, like, it's obvious that they feel like he's almost a guarantee to make 4, and they really don't want you to take that bet. The points at plus money for him to get 22 is like, I don't know, y'all are tripping in my opinion. I know OG's back, but it's still Klay Thompson who can shoot from all over.
Yeah, and the Raptors are giving up 43% from deep in their last 3 here. I think Fred VanVleet, if he's healthy enough, will be chasing Curry a lot, forcing him to give it up. And yeah, Klay's been – it's really just a matter of confidence, I think, with Klay. And he seems to have gotten that while Steph was out, and now he's continued to be kind of the Klay of old, shooting at home and really thriving off that crowd. So I do like the Klay Thompson and the Draymond picks. If you want to go that route instead of the weird OG pick, more power to you.
Cool. Yeah, we're in agreement there. And that is all the time we have for you guys. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Check out the other couple videos we have for you on this Friday. And until we see you next, happy betting.